It is summer. It is hot. It is muggy. But we're not quite to the summer break yet. But the little mini break that we had, yeah, that's over with. It is time to hop back into our Formula One. You have found the Outlap F1 podcast. This will be season 7, episode number 23. It's the 2025 Belgian Grand Prix preview show. You've got Andy, and I'm along with Cody tonight. Cody is fresh back from, where were you going? You were telling me earlier?
I went to the Formula One race. In fact, Formula One race, I wish. Went to the Formula One movie.
It's like going to a race. It's going to lots of races.
Yeah. I just got back like 20 minutes ago, so it is fresh in my mind to discuss.
Nice.
Yes, it definitely feels like the summer break here in the Chicago area because holy crap, is it hot and disgusting. And yeah, it's like an oven. Love it.
Yeah, apparently the term, which I didn't know existed, I've lived in the Midwest in this part of the world my entire life. Apparently we have to blame corn sweat.
Yes, that is a real thing. I did not realize actually until myself recently. I'd heard the word and I was like, that can't be real. Apparently we grow so much corn here in the Midwest that it actually changes the weather. And I hate it. It's
Yay us. Yes, I know. Today was bad. Tomorrow's supposed to be the worst of it. And then it's supposed to be a little bit better, hopefully, for the weekend. But that's not why you've joined us tonight. You've joined us because you want to talk a little bit about some F1. We've got a lot. We have a totally full docket on the table for you tonight. So welcome on in. We are glad you are here. You can find our show, as always, on Blue Sky, on X, on Instagram. Sometimes on Discord, sometimes on Reddit, and of course here on YouTube at Outlap F1 Podcast. Single handle for all of those places is the handle for all over those various platforms. If you enjoy what you are hearing and you like what you're seeing, you can do us a solid. You can click the like and subscribe button on YouTube. If you're on your favorite podcasting app, if you want to leave us a 5-star review, that helps us come up a little bit better in F1 related search results. So if you're looking for content like ours, we're happy to have you along. So if you'd like to do that, we would be most appreciative of it. You can email the show, outlapf1@gmail.com. We'll get your messages to the two of us. Thank you so much for Outlap F1 Nation, who continues to support our little endeavor here. Thank you so much to Dean Warwick, Yuri Dolchester, Paul Weaver, Quentin Warden, Kevin Kelly, Regan Stanzik, Timothy Brown, and of course, Jonathan Scott. If you'd like to, we're not asking you to do this, but if you would like to, we do have an Anchor page for a monetary donation, $1 or $5 if you want to. You don't have to do that. All that would do is help us put some money back into the show, keep our recording platform up and current, keep all our equipment up and current as well. All right. Well, I guess we'll hop into the news, and the good news is absolutely nothing happened since the British Grand Prix. Wrong. In true Outlap F1 podcast fashion, at least they let me get the British Grand Prix review show out before they did this, but had I waited one more day, it would have done it again. Titanic story breaking over the break. Christian Horner, who I would have dubbed AKA Mr. Teflon, apparently is Teflon no more. He is out at Red Bull. Oh my gosh. Lauren McKees, who was in charge of the Racing Bull team, has replaced Christian Horner with immediate effect. Alan Permain takes over for McKees at Racing Bulls. There's a video of Christian Horner basically telling the team his fond farewell, and his quotes from that were, "I've had a chance to reflect over the last 12 hours," because that's apparently all the notice that he got, and wanted to stand in front of you all to break this news and express my gratitude to each and every single member of the team that has given so much during the last 20 and a half years. When I arrived 20 years ago, there were few less gray hairs. I walked into a team and did not know what to expect, but I was immediately welcomed, and we started to build what became a powerhouse in F1. Watching and being part of this team has been the biggest privilege of my life. Ali Mitzlaff, who is actually the head of Red Bull Corporate, he quoted on the statement that they released early that Tuesday, fateful Tuesday morning, quote, "We wanted to thank Christian Horner for his exceptional work over the last 20 years. With his tireless commitment, experience, expertise, and innovative thinking, he has been instrumental in establishing Red Bull Racing as one of the most successful and attractive teams in Formula One. Thank you for everything, Christian. You will forever remain a part of our team history." Wow. All I can say to that is, wow. Cody, you are wearing the Red Bull hat. I'm glad to see that you're still doing that after all this. What is your take on all of this? I did not see that one coming.
Yep, still wearing the hat because for now, Max Verstappen still drives for Red Bull. I guess the biggest thing I was surprised about is just how sudden it was. Like, when there was the whole personal debacle with Christian Horner and, possibly having, the texting coworkers inappropriately scandal, all that we knew about. We thought, oh, maybe it could happen then. And then that all died out. Apparently, the team did their own investigation. We talked about that at length and cleared him. So we thought, okay, he's good to go. And yeah, this came very suddenly, pretty much right after the last race. All of a sudden, I pop up my phone and it's like, Christian Horner out. And I was like, this can't possibly be real, can it? And it is. He's been there for so long, since before I was a fan of Formula One. And so for him to just suddenly be out with immediate effect is pretty crazy. It does show that things have changed at Red Bull, because previously it seemed that the reason why he was staying in the team was because he did still have powerful backers from the Red Bull, owners, which I guess is pretty much split into two camps. And apparently they've had a change of heart. They're not pleased with how the team is currently doing. I assume is at the root of it all. They managed to scrape by with the Drivers' Championship last year, but this year it looks like both championships are going to be all gone, which is just amazing with how dominant they were only 2 seasons ago. We've talked about that at length as well. So that's got to be at the heart of it all, is the team is no longer performing. You have the residual fallout from his scandal, which, guilty or not, is not a good look. And I think everyone just decided that they were all on the same side now on at least this one thing, and said it's time for him to go.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot, obviously, because we're a couple weeks late to this party on this one. So there's been a lot of reporting, and I've done a lot of reading on it. And apparently, it's these Thai shareholders or something like that apparently one of the holdings went into this trust, and that tips the voting power back into the Austrian camp, which is Ali Mitzlaff, Helmut Marko, and of course, Jos Verstappen, who's not a voting member by any means, but has a significant amount of influence in that team. And Jos has been outspoken about his criticism of how Christian had been running things, especially since that scandal last year. I don't want to go back into the details of that. I think that it's a cumulative thing. I think you could also find lots of purely on track or performance-based reasons to do it, not necessarily all related to this season, but the cumulative effect of losing people like Jonathan Wheatley, Rob Marshall, just to name a couple, who've gone to other places and have done really well. The brain trust that was that dominant car, not to mention Adrian Newey. Hello, what am I not thinking of? Yeah, those 3 defections are pretty big. You've got the tie-in with Ford to make your own power unit when it doesn't look like, and again, we don't know what 2026 is going to look like, but all indications of what we're reading is it's kind of a Mercedes or bust situation in the development room right now. So everyone else is going to be playing catch up in 26, and hopefully they're all kind of back to normal in 27. That's what I've been reading. And you have Christian, who piloted that and decided to do that after long bad relationships with Renault, and him criticizing the Renault engine from the minute 2014 they turned that 2014 power unit on. He did not like that engine at all, even though they won couple world championships with it. But he wasn't in favor of that. He does, like I said, the brain trust is no longer there. So there's lots of legit kind of critiques, and not to mention, we're trying to keep Max Verstappen in-house. And oh, by the way, the Jets, Max's and Toto Wolff's Jets, apparently did some sort of dance over Sardinia, which broke the internet for a day or two there too. So, it's kind of all of that. And does this like if there's residual effect from the whole thing that happened the Bahrain weekend in 24, does this make Red Bull smell better? Absolutely. I mean, it's probably the biggest target that was on anybody's back, but this was a guy who I thought was a made guy. I thought he was absolute Teflon proof. Did not see it coming. Certainly the timing of it was very odd. Like, I could understand if we got to the end of the season and they said, look, you don't have a second driver who's worth a damn, and you've tried 5 of them, and none of them have worked. And the only guy who can drive your car is barely able to drive the car, and even he was spinning off in the rain in Great Britain in the last race. So I can understand it, but damn, I thought this was a made guy. Apparently, anything is possible at any time in Formula One. Wow.
Yeah, 20 years, and you don't even get to make it to the end of the season. You're given the go right in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, like it is the Piranha Club. I mean, there's already been rumors. Now the current situation is he's still a Red Bull employee. I think he's got his contract runs, I think, until 2030. So there's going to have to be, if he is to come back in another team, and there's already been rumors, like he's been talking to Alpine, and Flavio Briatore, of course, is looking for somebody other than himself to be running that organization. If that ends up happening later down the line, it may be because, but there's going to have to be a gardening leave. There's going to be a buyout. So the road back is a bit long for one Christian Horner, but yeah. Just proof that you never know what's coming. You had to, talk about. I was getting woken up that Tuesday morning. I couldn't believe it when I read it. I'm like, saying what? If it wasn't confirmed by my phone, I wouldn't have believed it. But anyway, that was the big news. Mekis has already, I think, had a video where he's already kind of taken a tour of the plant and everything, and he's gotten to know everybody there. Alan Permain's a good guy to probably take over at Racing Bulls. I like Lauren Mekis. I've always have. I thought even with Ferrari, he was one of the guys at Ferrari that I always thought made the most sense. Even when Ferrari would talk Ferrari speak, he would kind of come out and clarify it. So I do think they're in decent hands, but we're going to have to see kind of where this goes and where the Verstappen drama goes, because none of that has moved anyway in the last few weeks. All right. Next topic on the docket here. We've been talking a lot about our F1 broadcast rights in the United States, and the fact that we are halfway through the season and we don't have a signed contract for next year. It appears, based on a couple things, good, strong U.S. ratings and good, really solid numbers from the F1 movie, that it appears that Apple is poised to gain at least the streaming rights for F1 starting in 2026. They have submitted, apparently, the report is a $150 million bid for those rights. The ESPN bid, such that it is only around $90 million, so 150 is more than 90. You can kind of see where this is going to go, even though it hasn't been announced yet necessarily. A couple things to note. The good news of all this, and I'm going to do my rant in a minute about the casual fan and why I don't think this is a great idea, but the best news is F1 TV in any guise of this is supposed to be unaffected. FOM wants to keep that independent as an over-the-top broadcasting entity for the U.S. They're not going to block your F1 TV in the U.S., so all our subscriptions will not be in vain. They will take both sides of it, as any good company should. But at least we have that to make sure we have a base with which to watch. Cody, what's your thought on this? I mean, until now, Apple's biggest streaming rights has been MLS, and can you count on your hand how many MLS games you've ever watched on that platform? Because I can't.
None ever. In fact, I've watched very little on Apple TV as it is.
Right.
I don't know. It's from Apple's side. I guess it really makes sense because with how popular it has become here, it makes sense that you would want to use that as something to draw people to your platform. I just, like you said, for the casual fan, it's going to kind of suck because, so many people got ESPN as part of their cable package. And I know cable packages have been on the down and all that, but I know a lot of more people who have access to ESPN than they do to Apple TV. there's shows I want to watch on Apple TV, and I still won't pay for it.
Right.
It's definitely not your most popular platform. It's not Netflix. It's not Hulu. So I feel like it's going to be a little restrictive to the casual fans. I don't know how many casual fans are going to be like, "Ooh, I got to get Apple TV now." For us hardcore fans, it's great that F1 TV will still be around because I love F1 TV. I mean, sure, it's you split it over the course of a year, and it's always worked. It works very well actually now that there's a TV app. It gets run right through the TV. It comes through crystal clear. I've never really had any issues with it. So, in my humble opinion, that is the way to go. If Apple does end up winning this, unless there's some other one show. There's some Harrison Ford show my wife likes.
I'll finally get to watch Ted
Apple TV.
Lasso.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's something that could pull you out over there, but from Apple's perspective, yes, it is a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's great for them. I mean, they're going to get a marquee property at its probably market high. It's good for FOM. It's good for the FOM stock. Like I said, 150 is clearly more than 90, so I get it. But I look at what the recent experiment with even a bigger platform, though, what NASCAR did. Like, they took 7 races that normally are kind of in the middle and they don't necessarily always have the same broadcasters anyway. And they put it on Amazon Prime. And I will give Amazon Prime a lot of credit. I watched a few of those races on there. Their coverage was great. It was actually a lot better than the Fox coverage. I learned stuff about NASCAR that I didn't know, and I've been watching that for a very long time. So I was actually quite impressed with how they did it. But it's hard. It's a mind shift for people my age and older to have to go find it and then to not be able to hunt around during the commercials, which, of course, there's still a lot of. Now, I do believe, from what I've read about this, is that F1 broadcasts will only have the same commercial breaks that they do now on ESPN, meaning that there's commercial breaks in practice, there's some in qualifying, but there would not be a commercial happening during the race, which is a win for all fans, because the second you start doing that, we're regressing, and we don't need to go back to that. So that's good. But it's going to be interesting to see what it does to the numbers in this country, because the numbers in this country are continuing to get better, particularly versus its compatriot in IndyCar. F1 is kind of almost 2-1 right now, and it has an advantage over the homegrown stuff that's on in the middle of the day. So it's clearly the fans have made their choice, or are making their choice as to where they want to go experience the racing. I mean, I watch both. I enjoy both. I'm not taking a stab at IndyCar here. IndyCar's got its own issues. That's a different podcast. I'll cue that sound, and we can do that another day. And I can go fix IndyCar, but that's not what we're trying to do tonight. That said, I'm worried about this being the hump. Like, it feels like we can only go down from here. And I get the natural inclination to want to take the money and run. I just hope we don't end up regretting this 4 or 5 years down the line when we're trying to get back to the same numbers, if we're lucky, that we get to now.
It would be nice, though, for our tickets to get just a little cheaper.
That's true. That's true. I'll take that for sure. That would be nice. But yeah, we'll have to see kind of where this goes. We'll continue to follow it. It obviously hasn't been announced yet, but it does certainly look like the U.S. will be heading to Apple TV for its streaming rights. I mean, like I told you before, I'm going to be unaffected by it. I'm going to watch it the same way I do now. I've got all my little sources out there that will get me the content that I want when I want to get it. But it's a pain in the butt if you have to physically go find something. I think, as just a consumer of sports in general, like this is, I think, the second year I used to, every July, I used to wake up and I'd go to work and I would watch like parts of the stages of the Tour de France because it would be on in the middle of the morning. I have to go now to a Peacock app. I have to go search it, go to sports, find it to find the exact same stuff that used to just be on my cable box. So I can't, and the other thing is I can't flip from it back to the news while they're taking a break and then back to the stage. You know, it's just annoying. It's just the way I watch TV is very different. Maybe I got to get with the times. I don't know, whatever. Old guy, old rant. I'm done. Anyway, we'll move on to a story that, Cody, I loved when you sent me this text. When you said, every now and again, sometimes I may be a blind squirrel when it comes to F1 news, but every once in a while I have a good idea. And somebody out there listen to me, dang it. Tim Mayer has put his hat in the ring and will challenge Mohammed bin Sulayem for the FIA presidency. Excuse me while I do a little victory lap here. I hope to God he wins. It's such theater if he wins. He put on a presser that everybody who walked out of there said, that's what a president looks like. That's what a president sounds like. He's got a long way to go because obviously MBS has put people in place and he's gotten rid of a lot of his detractors in the FIA over the course of his tenure. So it's going to be an interesting thing. He's got from now, I think, until mid-October. He's got an uphill battle to climb, but I thought coming out the gate, he came out the gate about as strong as he could.
Yeah, this one really cracked me up because I think we've actually got the wisdom on record.
Yes,
because
it's actually on recording.
Yes, it was not long before this news came out that you were thinking like, hey, if I was going to pick somebody, I think it was when we were talking about Carlos Sainz, Senior dropping out of the race, where you're like, if I was going to pick a guy to go up against MBS, it'd be Tim Mayer. And then, like a week later, I saw this article and I was like, God damn, like, he knows his shit. So, yeah, he definitely would have my vote. As you said, though, it is going to be a toughie because MBS has built the house of MBS around him. He's, pretty much got a whole bunch of yes men around him now who are going to vote for him to maintain his position. So I don't know if that happens. I don't know. I know that the drivers and teams are not clearly a big fan of him, so I don't know if they would have to become more vocal themselves in a bad way to get things to change. I mean, they have a lot of power. Heard things about strikes and all that stuff before. Obviously, I don't want it to come to that, but I feel like if they're really upset and it gets to the point where it's like he doesn't have any challengers because there's no one like to vote against him, then it might have to come to that. But for the moment, it's nice that there is a strong, capable person running for the FIA presidency. It feels weird, like it's like we're talking about it almost like an actual run for like the U.S. presidency or something, which we obviously don't have any competence there. So
I mean,
let's hope we can get something in FIA.
Yeah, it's a weird process because you have to go like country by country, and it's like the auto clubs are the ones who elect. I don't even know quite how it all works. I'm sure it's a closed. I know it's a closed ballot. I know you don't find out until, like I said, you're probably not going to find out about any of it until October. But he did make a very public first thing. I did watch some coverage of it, and I did listen to some sound bites, and I loved everything that I heard.
He sounds like a smart guy.
Yeah, no, this is a guy who, if you've ever actually listened to any of his interviews in the past, I remember him talking about like the laser pointers on how to measure exactly where the bollards and stuff are supposed to be. And he's a rules nerd. He's exactly what they need. That's exactly it. I can't be that bad. He can be that bad. And go ahead and do that because that's what he should do. It's like there's a role for him in the world. This is it. So I'm hoping to God it happens. If there's anybody who listens that knows anybody at an auto club, put an elbow in for Mr. Tim Mayer. I will be most happy, and I think we will all, as fans of motorsport, be very happy as well should he get in. But he's got a long way to go. All right. Well, since you just came back from the F1 movie, we can finally have our little discussion. Spoiler alert now. If you have not watched it, this would be your time to stop. I may even put the timestamp. So we're about 24 minutes in. We're going to stop. So stop there. I will tell you on the back end of this where to pick up when we're done so that you don't get any of the spoilers if you haven't seen the movie. But here's your last warning. 3, 2, 1. All right, here we go. Cody, thoughts on the F1 movie? I'll let you go first.
My overall thoughts were, if I was not a huge F1 fan, I would have thought it was pretty bad, personally.
Wow.
Now I will say, like, the stuff that you're going there to see, like the on-track stuff, like, like the car battles and the going around the track and the little snippets of the drivers and the teams and all that stuff, like, that side of it was great. It looked great. It sounded fantastic. Like, that part was very exciting. I found everything besides that to be very cheesy. Uh,
That's
it's a
fair.
very cheesy story.
Yeah.
It's very predictable. The what was I going to say? The characters are not very deep. I think Brad Pitt's character is pretty fun, but it's exactly what you expect it to be. You know, I'm the old has been driver who's got a shot to come back, and like, oh, you got no options left, and that I remembered where I was going with this now. If you are a serious F1 fan, you're gonna poke so many holes in this movie. I did that the entire time. I was like, that's not how that goes. That's not how this goes. And I feel like they took some time to explain some things to, like, people who are not F1 fans or are casual F1 fans. And it's like, I don't need you to tell me what DRS is. I know what that is. And
You knew,
there was,
you had to know that was coming. That's been in
yeah,
every broadcast for the last 15 years. Since they put it in, they've had to do that.
I was going into it with the knowledge and expectation that it's a movie. It's dramatized. It's going to be a little cheesy, but it was more cheesy than I was expecting. The Some of the more fun holes that poked in it for me was, you had mentioned before that they do something with the calendar.
Yes.
That I was going to be weirded out by. And I had totally forgot about that comment until it happened. So if you've seen it, it's like they're going through, the whole story takes place over the second half of the season. The first half of the season, the team is never scored a point, which I'm going to get into my holes poking in that in a second. I got a whole list of stuff because it's fresh, man. But so the whole movie takes place on the back half of the season. It starts with the British Grand Prix, and they go through Britain, they go through Hungary, they go to like Zandvoort and stuff like that. I'm like, okay. It's going to it goes to Mexico. So I'm like, okay, we're like getting near to the end of the season here. And then all of a sudden they go to Spa. And I was like, what? I'm like, Spa comes before all this. I'm like, I get why you wanted to throw it in there because Spa is iconic and that's where we're about to go. But it did seem a little weird how that was shoot in that way. I guess the biggest thing for me is also going into this with the expectation that it's a movie and it's not going to be super hyper realistic. But still, even a casual F1 fan will be able to tell you the likelihood of a team getting 0 points in the first half of the season, having 0 points in their last, whatever they said, like 3 years of existing as a team, having that occur, and then suddenly having some magic upgrade that's going to take you into like top 5 podium contention on the regular and getting like a win at the end of the season, like beating Hamilton kind of on merit, which they totally did Hamilton dirty again in Abu Dhabi.
Well, he did it to himself. He's one of the producers. That's the best part of it.
But yeah, it's just that to me that was like hyper unrealistic. It's like, really, like, even if you just watch F1 a little bit, that really is like, it's like a 0.5% chance of that ever happening. What did you think of it, though?
I mean, there are definitely moments. I'm more positive on it than I think you are, and I think you're just coming out of the theater, and you probably, I don't know what your expectation level was. My expectations were actually fairly low because the latest iteration that I've had of a racing movie that I was really hyped for was, believe it or not, this is going to show how old I am, was Driven, which was just
Driven looked good. I liked Driven more than this, in my humble opinion.
There were parts of Driven that made me want to gouge my eyes out, especially when they're racing around Chicago in cars that couldn't exist. But anyway.
Wait, am I? Maybe I'm.
That was the IndyCar one with Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, okay. No. I'm thinking of a different movie then. What was the one that's about Niki Lauda and James Hunt?
Shoot, that's the one that Ron Howard directed.
Yeah. That one I liked. That's what I thought you were talking about.
No,
because I forgot
that's a good movie, and you should go see that one. Even though I can't freaking think of the title of it, I'm going to Google that. While I'm talking, can you Google that? We'll do some spot producing here. But anyway, my bar for this was actually fairly low. There were a lot of things that I kind of had to sit back and kind of just smile and nodded for, and I went, well, that could happen, but probably not. Like,
the movie you were thinking of was Rush, by the way.
Thank you. I knew it had a title. Rush, exactly. That's actually very realistic and very true to form, and I thoroughly enjoyed that, and you should definitely go watch that one. But my expectations were pretty low going into this, so are there moments where I kind of sat back and kind of giggled to myself? I said, yeah. I said, the first thing that actually made me do it was right at the beginning when they showed the times. Now, we just went to Great Britain, so I'm just coming off of watching qualifying times, and I know what those are, and I'm like, you're 4 seconds slower on your lap time. How can you be purple with a 29 when purple sector we just watched it was a 27.4? Like, what?
See, you're going even more hardcore F1 fan into that because I didn't even notice that.
I mean, it's stuff like that. The end was another one. The red flag situation, and then they said they're trying to explain it, and they go, well, you had 10 minutes to fix the car. No, you didn't. You had until 10 minutes, until after they were done fixing the barrier to fix the car. Because that's not how that works. You get all the time while they're fixing it to do whatever you need to do, and then they give you the 10 minutes, and you have to get back. Mm-hmm. So there would have been an opportunity, like if the repair wasn't going well, that would have been dramatic.
Yeah.
But instead, you make it to it's a flawless repair done in 10 minutes, and it's a brand new car, even though it had already spun out and hit the wall.
Uh-huh.
So that annoyed me. And then you concocted this way, like the tire thing, that can happen. And I do love the fact that they at least explain that. And even the mom of the Josh Pierce character goes, so we were so bad, this is why we have the extra magical set of tires. So that at least explains something that can happen in Formula One. So that at least,
that when they did that, I was like, okay,
that was good.
You do see that.
I didn't need to have Brad Pitt fallen in love with the team technical director. That does not happen.
That was a little weird.
To me, if we're trying to put women in a better position in Formula One, and we're trying to say that we're all inclusive and everybody should be able to get all these positions in Formula One, I don't know that would happen. We just talked about Christian Horner. That's kind of what he got in trouble for.
Yeah.
Same type of thing. If that had come out, does the Brad Pitt character get axed because of that? In Las Vegas when all that happened. Other big criticism of mine, no Circuit of the Americas. What the hell? Why was there no Circuit of the Americas? I wanted this hat, the top of this hat, to somehow be in the movie so I could say there's a scan, because I watched them film it and then they didn't use it. Mm-hmm. And there's also a ton that they had to have left on the editing floor, because the other one that if you were watching around the Las Vegas weekend, you saw the internet video of the Brad Pitt scene where apparently he's supposed to climb out of the car, take 3 steps and fall down. Yeah, that got axed. So thank you, internet, for canceling that one. Because that actually would have had parallel with his character, because that was supposed to go back to the thing they said in the very first scene, which that I thought was awesome. The remake of the 91 type of graphics and the 91 type broadcast, that stuff cool. Was authentic as hell, and that was great. I thought the music in it was good, on the good side. I loved the music. Hans Zimmer is an icon. They should put him in all sorts of Hall of Fames. And I want the soundtrack. I'm going to download the soundtrack to that movie because it's good. And I'm going to listen to it in my car when I'm on a long road trip or something, because that's worth it to me. And I don't say that a lot about a movie soundtrack very often, but I was bumping to the music. It's hard to make a dramatic in-season turnaround plausible. Like
it is, yeah.
It's just a lot to ask. They do at least kind of go there. There is at least a progression, but it was kind of interesting. Like by the Las Vegas race, they're in the top 5, and now they're contending for podiums all the time. And I'm like, I know McLaren did this, but that took 1.5 years, and they were bad before they got good.
I got two more holes to poke in it
Go
before we
ahead.
move on. And to be frank, like I did enjoy it. Like I said, if I wasn't a huge Formula One fan, I would have thought it was a little bad. I am a huge Formula One fan, so I thought it was fun in a cheesy poke holes in it kind of way.
Yeah.
But the whole Brad Pitt being however old they thought he should be in the movie, they're saying that he was coming through at the same time as like Ayrton Senna and stuff like that. And now he's racing in 2025 and he hasn't raced in F1 since like his accident racing against Ayrton Senna, and suddenly he comes back and his first time in the car, he's a half second off the dude who's supposed to be like a big up and coming talent. Like, unless you are like the prodigy to end all prodigies, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'll let you get into the details when you watch it, but there's just so much strategy shit they pull in that movie that it's like that would absolutely never happen. You would be fired on the spot for pulling that kind of shit. The last hole that I want to poke in it is I thought the big crash scene where the other driver gets injured. Thought that was just a touch over the top. I mean, we've seen epic, fiery, explosive, actual crashes in Formula One. Like, we had the one in 2020 with Roman Grosjean. Like a realistic fireball, like could have gotten really hurt crash. Having the car literally like ramp off the curb and fly like 50 feet into the air and like into the trees and stuff, I was like, that's a little extreme. But
so I will tell you where they got. I will tell you where they got that from. That is actually based on a real thing. Believe it or not.
Really? Okay.
That is. It's a Formula 3 race. I wanted to get it right. I just kind of popped it up here. It was Alex Peroni who crashed at that exact same corner, and the car did that exact spin. Now, it wasn't fiery. He didn't burn. He walked away. He got up. The catch fence caught him, and the car got stuck in the catch fence, and they had to get him out. But he landed right side up. Thank God he landed right side up, because if he didn't, but that whole hitting it at Parabolica and having it spin like that, yeah. If you pull it up, it's Alex Peroni, and he walks away from huge crash at Monza. He was racing, I think, for Campos at the time. 2019 Italian Grand Prix weekend. I remember this because they had to cancel like the next F2 session because they had to fix the fence. And there was talk about them maybe not even getting to qualifying that day because it was such a big deal there.
All right. Well, on that one, then, I stand corrected. It is apparently much more realistic than I gave it credit for. I was like...
Now, here's what I would say. That was a 1 in a million crash that I don't think you're ever going to see again. Yeah, if they wanted to pay homage to it, and that's what they kind of did, and it was kind of convenient, and it looks great on camera, fine.
That day.
The whole, like, I don't know, there was... It's little things for me, but like I said, for me, the biggest critique was how did you go around Circuit of the Americas? There was way too much Las Vegas. I mean, the Las Vegas Tourism and Convention Bureau should give that movie a kiss on the cheek, man, because that's a free ad for Las Vegas if I ever saw one. In spades, because there was all sorts of stuff.
They had sex, they had the race, they had poker, they had clubbing, like it was really a good show for Las Vegas.
Absolutely. I mean, so that was kind of crazy. But I enjoyed it. I wasn't going into it as I'm looking for it to be a realistic simulation. I've watched a lot of F1 races and I've seen it, but I enjoyed the fact that, like, hey, they worked it into real stuff. Those cars were actually on grids. That's really Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz. I guess the other critique that I would have, I wish there was more interaction with the actual drivers. Like that there was more than just Fernando Alonso tapping Brad Pitt on the shoulder and going, yeah. Good going, man. What would Fernando actually say in that situation would have been kind of interesting.
It's pretty much like a bajillion little cameos.
Right. And they other than the podium thing at the end, and that's another thing. Like, you wouldn't be able to just disappear after an American winning the last race, coming from P17 to P1, is not going to be able to get into a van and just go drive off into the sunset, literally.
No, you would have reporters hounding you for like the next week. They would follow you everywhere.
Right. Yeah, he's not making it to Baja. There's a whole cascade of Craig Slater is following him to Baja to find out what he's doing after that. Like, that. But it's not bad. I mean, I again, my bar was pretty low. I enjoyed it for what it was. Yes, there's holes. Yes, there's things that I could sit and poke holes at it if I really gave it a very long time. But not to mention the thing at the beginning, at the 24 Hours of Daytona. Yes, they blow off fireworks. Yes, they are in the background of the back straight. No, they don't actually hit the track. And no, they don't do it at 2 a.m.
Yeah, I thought that was a little over the top with the fireworks like exploding onto the cars and stuff. I was like, really? Although they were doing it to, what was it, like Led Zeppelin? So like,
oh no, like I said,
when
the
music was going on with the Led Zeppelin playing, I was like, okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah, the music totally put that into my veins. I loved it, but yeah, I mean, it's a good time. I will own the next iteration. I will certainly own a copy of either the DVD or the Blu-ray or the something or the digital download. Even if I have to subscribe to Apple TV to watch Formula One, I'm sure the movie's going to come along with it. So There we go. That's probably how I will end up owning it at some point. But and I think it does kind of give a little indication of what I think Lewis Hamilton went through as a young driver, first coming up. He was put into a big team. He's trying to please everybody, not trying to find his feet. He's listening to his manager. I think that rang very true. The relationship with his mother and all that other stuff, that I enjoyed. The Josh Pierce arc is predictable, but fine. And I think maybe you get some insight into the background of what everybody does when the cameras aren't on. So that was kind of interesting. But anyway, that's the F1 movie review from us. I don't know if you want to give it a star value. I would give it 3.5 out of 5.
I'd give it probably like, I'll be generous. I'll give it a 3. I was thinking 2.5, but I'll give it a 3.
All right. Well, good enough. All right. Well, that is the end of the spoiler. So 24 minutes to 42 minutes. If you've stuck with us this long, we're going to now take an actual quick break. We'll re-rack. We will then turn our attention, because there is a race. There's a sprint weekend. I forgot about this. There's a sprint weekend on offer. So we're going to get into our Belgian GP track facts. We're going to talk about the weather, because the weather is going to play a role this weekend for sure. We'll then talk about our predictions into what we think is going to happen, and we'll tell you when and where you can find your F1 in the United States this weekend. So come on back. You will not want to miss it. Welcome back on in. This is Season 7, Episode 23 of the Outlap F1 podcast. Boy, does it feel good to be back in front of a microphone. It's only been 2 weeks, and I feel like we missed so much.
3 weeks. Well, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I think.
And then we're going to do this, we're going to do Hungary, and then we're going to take another month off. So this schedule, they still have to work on it. They're eventually.
Next year it's going to be better. Next year there's just one summer break, and that's it. It's normal. So
good.
Yeah, it is fixed. It will be fixed.
We're getting there. At least they understood that there was at least a problem. But where we're going is the iconic track that is Spa-Francorchamps. Our Belgian GP track facts are brought to us by the good folks at Pirelli Motorsport. So, Cody, tell us about the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps.
Yes. Formula One returns from the mini summer break to go to the legendary Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, located in neither Spa nor Francorchamps, but Stavelot, Belgium. Number of laps around the circuit for the Grand Prix is going to be 44, and the length of the circuit, I believe, is the longest on the calendar at 7.004 kilometers. That's 4.35 miles, and the circuit consists of 19 turns. Tire selection from Pirelli is a little odd this time. They're skipping over a compound this time, so we're going for C1 on the hard, C3 for medium, and C4 on the soft. And the track characteristics from Pirelli are a 4 out of 5 for traction, 3 out of 5 for asphalt grip, 3 out of 5 for asphalt abrasion, 3 out of 5 for track evolution, 5 out of 5 for tire stress, 4 out of 5 for braking, 5 out of 5 for lateral load, and a 2 out of 5 for downforce. The qualifying lap record here under the current configuration is going to go to Lewis Hamilton, which he's set with the 2020 Mercedes car, so very fast car, one of the fastest there's ever been, and he did that with a 1 minute 41.252 seconds. The race lap record, however, was set a little more recently, and that was set by Sergio Perez in 2024 with a 1 minute 44.701 seconds. Most wins at this track. This list is a who's who of the greatest of all time. Most wins here is 6, and that goes to Michael Schumacher, followed by a tie between Ayrton Senna and Lewis Hamilton with 5 wins apiece. Then a big gap in generations here. Jim Clark and Kimi Räikkönen tied at 4 wins apiece. And then we got a whole bunch of drivers here tied at 3. That's Norman Fangio, Damon Hill, Sebastian Vettel, and Max Verstappen all tied at 3. Most constructor wins here is going to go to Ferrari with a whopping 18. McLaren in second with 14. So all play for come for them to catch up this weekend, possibly. Lotus and Mercedes, I believe that's probably the old Lotus, tied with 8 wins apiece here. And then Alfa, probably the OG Alfa Romeo, right?
Yep.
And Williams tied with 4 wins apiece. What's the circuit like, Andy?
All right, Spa is among the Formula One drivers' most loved tracks, with its mix of long straights and challenging fast corners, allowing them to push their cars to the edge of their capabilities. That is, if it's dry. The size of the track and the nature of the Belgian weather means it can sometimes be raining on one part of the track and dry on another, meaning grip can vary from one corner to the next. Keep an eye on the thrilling Eau Rouge, arguably the most famous sequence of corners in the world, as the drivers flick left, then right, then up the hill through Radion. All right, as for that Belgian weather, it is not going to disappoint. We have a smorgasbord of weather on tap this weekend. For Friday in the sprint qualifying, it will start out, it looks like it's going to be dry, partly cloudy, a high near 75 right down the middle. Mercedes fans, keep note, your car will be better in the cool weather. Winds out of the north-northwest at 5 to 10, a 24% chance of a shower. Could pop up, who knows when. For the sprint race and the main qualifying, again, mostly cloudy skies. High again, right around 75. Winds out of the northwest at 5 to 10. Only an 18% chance of rain. However, on Sunday, for the race day, rain is likely. A high of 64. Winds again out of the northwest at 5 to 10. Chance of rain is listed right now at 80%. When it's going to hit, of course, is the big question. Rainfall is only supposed to be around 1/4 of an inch, so not the deluge that we've seen in other weekends. I do not think we're going to have a repeat of that fateful weekend of 3 laps. So I think we'll probably get the race in, but I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see either the intermediate or the intermediate tire at some point during the race. All right. There we go. All right. So we are now going to take our stab at what we think is going to happen over the course of this weekend. And we shall start, as we are apt to do, with the pole sitter. 2024, that pole lap time was set by Max Verstappen, as a lot of them were. So, Cody, what do we have? Who do you got taking the pole in the main race? Not for the sprint, but for the main race.
If at this point in the season last year, Max Verstappen was still able to get the pole in Spa, I think he could do it again this year. I'm with the rain forecast. I really hope they don't do what they did in Great Britain and go with a no drag, no downforce setup, because it's definitely not going to work on race day, as we saw when it's wet. But I do think Max Verstappen will definitely be a contender for pole position, so he's who I got.
All right, very good. I'm coming into this weekend with 2 main themes. One, Oscar Piastri is pissed off. At the end of the British Grand Prix was about as pissed off as I've ever heard that guy on the radio. And I've always said pissed off Piastri is a thing. And 2, this is Lando Norris' kryptonite of a circuit. He can go well here in spurts, but it does not seem to work out for a result. I've got Oscar Piastri trying to reassert his dominance in qualifying, taking the pole position here in Spa. All right, the big question, given whether or not it's going to rain or not, is what is our qualifying pole lap time going to be? Last year's was set in the wet by Max Verstappen with a 1:53.159. I'll go first on this one. Since the weather that I have, and it's interesting you mentioned when you did the track breakdown of the town, I kept having to find the town. Because if you list Spa, you get one weather forecast. If you go to Stavelot, you do another one. And oh yeah, it's like 5 miles outside of the town and up in the mountains. So Lord only knows how well our weather's going to be. But because it's saying it's supposed to be dry, I've gone with a pretty fast lap time. I've got a 1:42.574. Cody, what you got here?
I am also banking on it being dry. It is supposed to be dry on Saturday. Fingers crossed for that. I actually had to do a little bit of research to find a decent time to go off of, because the last several qualifying sessions, be it for the sprint or regular race, have been wet at some level. So I had to go back a few years to find a dry session to go off of. I'm actually going to go a little faster than you with a 1:41.846 seconds.
All right, very good. So turning to the race on Sunday and the podium, yes, George Russell crossed the line in first place, but then was subsequently disqualified, so he was never actually there. That gave the win to Lewis Hamilton, who then takes from Oscar Piastri, who finishes in second, and Charles Leclerc gets bumped up to the podium in third. What do we think is going to happen this weekend? Cody, I'll let you go first. Who you got taking the main race?
I definitely think we're going to see Oscar Piastri returning to the top of the podium. Piastri has done well here before. He is, going to be on a revenge tour after what happened in Great Britain. And like you said, this is Lando Norris's kryptonite, so I don't think he's going to get the win. However, I think that car is so far out in front of all the other cars at this point that he is going to finally get a good result in here and be on the podium in second. And then I've got Charles Leclerc coming in third, because supposedly Ferrari's bringing some kind of big upgrade to Belgium, which is a little weird. They seem to be kind of still bringing upgrades a little later than everybody else. But, hey, if they think they can get something out of it, more power to them.
Yep, I'm in agreement with you on the race winner. I do think this will be Oscar Piastri. I was just doing some research on why this is Lando Norris's kryptonite. Here's his career finish. 2019, he did not finish. That was the It's Broken race. Remember that, where he stopped with one lap to go. He was going to finish fifth. 2020 was a seventh place. 2021 and 2022 were bad. 14th and 12th, no points there. 2023 was seventh after the McLaren car was in that weird rain setup, and it only rained for like a portion of the race, and he was down in 15th and then rallied to seventh, and that's as far as he could get. And 2024, believe it or not, was his best career finish there, and it's only good for fifth. So he's going to have to change the narrative. If he wants to be the championship contender that he's got himself back into this race, he's got to change the narrative, and this is a good place to do it. I don't think he's going to be able to do it in the race, though. I think Oscar Piastri is going to be on a mission this weekend, and I don't think it's even going to be close. I've got Oscar Piastri taking the win. Because this is Lando Norris's kryptonite, I can't have him coming home in second place, unfortunately. I'm rooting for that, obviously, but my head says something different. I think because it's going to be cooler, it's going to be wet, I think that brings Mercedes back into play. I'm thinking Canada here, who got better when the McLarens got a little bit worse. That was Mercedes. So I think they will be the thorn in the side. I think George Russell needs a result, needs to put it right, especially after Great Britain. The fact that he doesn't have a drive, I think he's going to be motivated, especially after winning last year and having it stripped from him. Does a new tire call or a better tire call do it well? So I've got him coming home in second place. Lando, I think, will come home in third because the car is that good. I don't know if this is his place, but let's hope my narrative is wrong for my sake anyway. All right, so we'll now turn to the fastest lap and the driver. This one actually surprised me when I looked it up. The 2024 fastest lap time was set by Sergio Perez. Yeah, remember him? The other Red Bull, a 1:44.701 as the track was drying out. Cody, it's going to be wet, we think. So what do we have for a lap time, and who do you have making the fastest one?
Quite a bit slower than that 1:44, which I believe I said a few minutes ago was actually the race lap record. So it's I guess last little bit of Perez claim to fame that he's got from his last Red Bull season. I've got Charles Leclerc getting the fastest lap. I'm really hoping that those Ferrari upgrades actually mean something and that they end up being a little more competitive for the rest of the season. But since I do think it's going to be wet, I think it's going to be quite a bit slower. I've got a 1 minute 48.210 seconds.
All right, very good. I also have a slower lap time than Sergio last year, but I think Oscar Piastri out front, if he's in clean air, he'll be able to control it. And there'll probably be a moment where I need to put some pace together. So I've got a 147.587. I do think the track will be drying. I don't know how. The question will be how far does it get to dry, and when does that rain shower that is supposed to happen on Sunday actually hit? So we'll have to see. All right, so for our bonus picks, we've selected P4, P6, and P8. Cody, I'll let you go first here. What you got?
Sadly, I don't think a good qualifying performance is going to translate into a good race result. We pretty much saw that happen with Max in Great Britain, where he got that awesome pole, and then the race just kind of fell apart in the wet. Max is usually great in the wet, but it seems like this car just can't really handle it. So I've got Max missing out on the podium, but finishing in fourth. I've got Kimi Antonelli, who also really could use a good result. Got him coming in P6, which I guess for him would be a good result. You still got to remember he is a rookie. And then I've got Carlos Sainz, hopefully also getting a decent finish. Carlos Sainz has had a really rough start to his Williams career, and I'm thinking a P8, a couple points on the board would do him some good. So I got Sainz coming in 8th.
All right, very good. I agree with you on the Max Verstappen factor. I think he's good enough to drag that car to a good result. Even though I don't have him on the podium, I do think he will be very close to it. So I've got him coming home in P4. P6, I'm going to give this one to Lewis Hamilton. When you make big changes to the Ferrari car, the guy doesn't have the most experience in the car might struggle a tad, especially given the narrow window that car seems to want to work in. Well, we'll see what those upgrades do, but I've got him coming home P6 right now. And for P8, I'm going to give this one to Fernando Alonso. I don't think they will run to the dry tire as quickly as they do in Great Britain, and therefore will hopefully have a slightly better result because I think the Aston Martin car has turned the corner a bit and is now scoring consistently. All right, so our prop bet for this race, we'll just pick our sprint podium, and we'll get a chance to get 3 extra points on offer. I'll go first with this one. It's weird because you only have the one practice, and I think Oscar, that always puts him on the back foot. So I think Lando's going to come out and just probably storm to the sprint pole and probably even take the sprint. But I think as the weekend goes on, that's when you're going to see Oscar and then Max come back into play a little bit. But Max is really good, especially if it's going to be dry. If they don't screw the setup up, Max will be a factor. So I've got Lando taking the sprint, Oscar in second, and I got Max coming home P3. Cody, what you got for a sprint podium?
I got the same 3 drivers as you, just in a different order. I think it's going to be a sweep from Piastri. I think he's going to take the sprint win and the Grand Prix win. He almost was on for a sprint win a couple years ago.
Yep.
So he does. I think he likes the track. I think he does well here. I also think that Max Verstappen tends to show very well on sessions or weekends where there are these fewer practice sessions, because he does seem to be able to just squeeze as much out of the car as he can, even if the setup isn't quite there. So I've got Verstappen in P2 in the sprint. Also not enough time for him to really fall off as bad. And then I've got Lando Norris coming in P3.
All right, very good. We shall see how our predictions stack up as the weekend evolves. All right, so when and where can you watch your F1 this weekend? We are still on our ESPN family of networks, and they are nice, kind of early times. So if you like your F1 in the morning, this weekend is for you. FP1, the only practice of the weekend, kicks off 7:25 a.m. Eastern. That's on ESPN2. The sprint qualifying kicks off Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, 9:30 a.m. for us here in the Central Time Zone. That is going to be on ESPNU. And, of course, all of these sessions can be also viewed on F1 TV along with all of the onboards. The sprint session will happen 6 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. our time. So bright and early for me. That'll be on main ESPN. The qualifying for the main race then kicks off a couple hours later, 9:55 a.m. Eastern. That will be on ESPN2. And the main race kicks off standard European time for that one, 8:55 a.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock for us, 7:55 a.m. Central. That will be on Big ESPN. All right. Well, I'm excited for this weekend. It's always good to have it back at it. It does kind of feel like the end of the mini summer break, especially because this is always where Spa used to always come in at the end of the summer break. It's when we kind of get back into the spirit of things. So looking forward to a fun weekend. Keep tuned to our social media throughout the course of the weekend. If any news breaks, if we get any Max Verstappen news, we'll definitely send it on to you. The hot rumor is he's probably not going anywhere now, but we shall see what happens. Of course, the second we say that, true Outlap F1 fashion, podcast fashion, the story will blow up as I'm posting the race review. That's my prediction for that one. But anyway, for Cody, any final thoughts before we head on
out? Just that if we hear anything weird and crazy about Max going to Mercedes, I think it'll happen around Zandvoort. At this point, I don't think it's going to happen. But if it does happen, I'm going to need to get a new hat again. So.
That would be true. Watch Cody changing hats all over the place, but we shall see what happens there. So for Cody, it's been Andy. Take care of yourselves out there. And as always, folks, we'll be back on Sunday to recap everything. And as always, folks, may all your laps be fast.